Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hey, everybody. I'm back again. You get to look at my face again for the second time today. Never thought I'd do 2 shows in one day. But somehow it just happens. So tonight I have got Dennis Carroll with me, and we're going to talk about some interesting things. I don't think much has changed in the last few hours from the last time I went live until now, other than I did get to eat dinner. So, hey, there is that. So let me go ahead and get us started with a prayer. And Father, I would like to ask for the strength to forgive all of our enemies and pray that they find their way to you. And Father, I would like to ask for a hedge of protection around us on this show and watching when we talk about some really deep and dark subjects. Please keep us safe, and please continue to love us like you do. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, everybody. Let me bring out Dennis so we get this show on the road. Hi, Dennis.
Good evening. I'm glad to be back with you. We always have a good time.
I know. It's always fun when you're here. So, we're going to talk a little bit about something that I figured that you were going to be pretty experienced in, and it's an interesting subject. So we are going to talk about the jinn, this crafty little thing. So why don't you get us started on that?
Okay, well, I learned a lot from a lot of the books that have been written on this, especially like about the gods of Babylon. And a lot of this, I've seen a lot. I like to go back and look at the origin of things and see how they supposedly began, because that tells you a whole lot, what you need to know. And the jinn are fascinating for the fact that they are sort of very much like the angelic hosts that we hear about in Christianity in certain aspects. And yet they can also be like the demons of Christianity as well. That's an interesting thing about the jinn. They sort of have a two-sided persona. They can do good when they want to, which is unusual. Demons absolutely do no good even if they wanted to, right. And they're not going to want to. But the jinn are kind of strange in this way. They kind of react to how your reaction is to them. So they're sort of saying, if you want respect, boy, you got to give it, with them, because if you step out of line, supposedly it's a lot worse on you. This is very much like, Brenda, very much like the fae, the fairies that we talk about. How their attitude is, certain things you can do to anger them. It's good to keep them on your side. And when I think of the jinn, I think of the fae, because they are very, very similar. And I have studied both of these types of things, and I can see the similarities in there, more so than the angelic regions. Now, the reason I say there's an angelic connection is because supposedly in Islam, there's the thought that these beings were created out of smokeless fire. According to some who go deep into the precepts of the angelic, and I love angelic subject. We won't have to do a show one night on angels. I love to do that. It's a fantastic subject. I'm going to be doing some shows on my program, Hunting the Shadows, on it. I'm going to teach people how to spot angels and
Ooh,
how to spot demons. So there's a way you can open the spiritual mind to these things and have that perception that you need in this world, especially the way things are going today. We need to know where our friends and our true enemies are. But anyway, I won't get into that tonight. But anyway, there is that connection sort of because the angelic was supposed to have been created out of something like smokeless fire as well, supposedly. Um, but that's the only true connection you've got going on. Like I say, the jinn are very close to the fae, more so than anything. And the Greek interpretation of the demon, or daemon, as it was originally called, was the fact that it did have two sides, good and evil, to it. So there's a lot, I think, a lot of the beliefs of antiquity that play into the modern beliefs of Islam and stuff. Because Islam is about, the age, maybe it's not around the same age of Christianity itself. So, they traded off a little bit on some of that stuff. And here's one more connection that we might explore tonight. Lilith supposedly has a hand in some of this, the mother of demons. And that is why in Arabia and places like that in the Middle East, these things are supposedly predominantly found in cave systems. And here you go again. That's a tie-in with the Fae, because look at the Fae. The fairy kingdoms are underground. That's where they originate at. And so you have the jinn hiding out in a lot of underground. Although they can haunt houses too. They can haunt people. They can become attachments on people. So therefore they share that with the demons. So like I say, you got a lot of trade-off. That's what makes this such a fascinating subject.
nice. So did uh-oh. I think your internet's sticking. Oh, there you go. You're back.
All right. But anyway, this is fascinating stuff because it goes deep into the spiritual realm. That way, supposedly is all around us. Like I said about earlier, if we could open our spiritual eyes to see what's truly going on around us, we would probably be astounded. Absolutely. And the thing is that when it comes to the jinn, you never know where you stand with them. You can come upon a good one, or you can come upon supposedly a bad one. They will harass you or haunt you. There are a lot of instances where they have to have shaman come in and stuff to detach these things from people. And having been deep in demonology most all of my life, I've been at this for over half a century now. That is very much like what the demonic does. It does attach to you. It can haunt you. It can make your life a living hell. Definitely. Right. And that's what the jinn can do this too. And here's what I have to say about them. This is just my own personal opinion. I think the jinn are masquerading. I think they are trickster spirits more so. And they have a true demonic personality behind all that.
Yeah,
because
I actually heard that.
Time, even when they supposedly do good, and I put that in quotation marks, okay, big red quotation marks. When they supposedly do good, it never turns out good in the end. It's kind of like I Dream of Jeannie. Remember that? She would always do her magic, would screw something up. So no matter what her intention was. And that's sort of like she was the personification of a jinn.
Yeah.
That's where we get the word genie and jinn from.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. A lot of people say that jinn's like that genie in a bottle, You never know what you're going to get when you let it out.
That's the one attribute she truly took away from that, you might say, is the fact that she's a trickster and her things never work out right. And that's kind of the way the real jinn operate. They may act like they're doing good for you, but in the end, it will turn out not to be so good for you. There's a price that you pay, And that's the way it goes with the demonic.
Yep.
Whenever if you try to go in league with the demonic, you try to get something from the demonic. You may think you're getting $1 million from them, okay, but you're getting it in a very bad way. You're paying a very bad, usually spiritual price for it, like your soul.
Yep.
That's just the way this goes. You don't deal with darkness and come out unstained.
That's
That's just
right.
the way that. Mhm.
Yes, I agree with that all the way. I mean, look at all these people. Look at our music industry. Oh, everything's all hunky dory for them, and they can be famous and make all this money, but you have to cut your hair, you have to dye it this color, you have to do this, you have to wear this, you got to act like this, your songs have to say this. So they're basically never being able to be themselves. They have to pay that price.
Well, think about this a minute, Brenda. Okay, you go to the Catholic Church, and you do the Rosary. What is that? It's a chant. You can put it to music, and it's a song. Okay,
Right.
songs can be rituals.
Yes.
Don't ever forget that, because that's very important. Songs can be masqueraded. What was Satan? Supposedly Lucifer in heaven. He was the what? Choir master.
Yep.
He knows his music very well, and he knows this effect that it has upon us, that it can manipulate our emotions. It can guide us spiritually and do things to us. He knows that. Okay? They know it. And they have put in a lot of their rituals in this music. Take a look at, now I won't pick on what, let's say, this new country music and some of this rap music. Listen to the lyrics of these stuff. You
Yep.
know, you need to understand what's going on and when you're listening to this, what it may do to you, you know. And that's the way the jinn operate. The jinn approach you as being like your friend, you know. Or we're here to kind of help you, kind of like the government. That's what Ronald
Yeah.
Reagan always said about the government. You never want to hear the government say, "I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you," because they're
Right.
not going to help you. Okay, they may act like they're going to help you, but they're not. You know, I was even hearing some, you know, the supposedly government money that was given to some people, and they gave a whole lot more to Africa than they did to the poor people in North Carolina. I live
Yeah.
in South Carolina, so I had the effects of this hurricane too. But they was giving people money, government money, and he had to say, yeah, it's sort of a loan because we want it back. A
Yeah.
lot of this is going on. I mean,
We're going
where
to
does
give you
that come from?
$750. You
You
have
do
3
it.
weeks to pay it back. If you don't pay it back in 3 weeks, we take your property. Yeah, I know how that game works.
Yeah, and they can do it. Yeah, that's eminent domain. They can
Hmm.
come in and take your house anytime they want, brother,
That's
and
right.
you can't stop them.
That's right.
That's what kind of country we're living in. And you know, that's going to goes with the gin. When you look at how they do things politically over there, okay, and how the religion is the predominant thing over the government. And it's not that way here. Government is predominant over religion here, but it's the other way around in Islam countries, okay, because the religion tells the government a lot of times what to do. That's the way they're set up.
I
So
kind
that
of,
gives the jinn. Listen to this now. That gives the jinn political power.
oh, well,
hmm Think about that. So you're actually giving demons political power in your government. Of course, we're doing that too, but just doing it in a different way. But that's what's going on in this world, definitely. And a lot of times these things deal with you on a personal basis. Now, the political part is sort of the off political, personal way, but they come and deal with you in a personal way. That's when things get really bad. They can attack you from your government, but they can also attack you in your house.
right.
That's when it's real personal. Your house is your domain. You have authority over that. Even Islam states that you have authority over these things. We have been taught that we do have a spiritual authority over this, that our Creator has given us authority over this, but we don't ever exercise it.
Right.
We don't use it when we need to, but we can get these things out of our lives for good. We don't have to put up with this junk. They're spiritual bullies, whether they're jinn or demons or whatever name you want to call them by, because they're out
Politician, priest.
around and make a doormat out of you.
Yeah,
We
that's true.
don't have to take that off of them because you have that authority given to you by your creator. Whatever religion you may be believing in, you have that authority given to you already. That is a precept that was given to us. We believe in the Christianity part that Jesus actually handed us this authority, even in a greater power than what was before.
Right.
Anyway, when it comes to the jinn, like I said, you never know where they stand. They may act like they're going to do good to you, but you don't trust them at all. That's what I've told people all the time that have come to me. I have had cases where they think the jinn was involved, and I would say, under no circumstances, no matter what, don't trust these guys.
That's right.
You can't.
Nope.
Because look at their track record.
Yeah, they don't have a good track record. I really don't. I don't trust. I mean, I have like very few people in my life that I trust, but other than that, anything outside of that, I don't trust because, well,
you can't, Brenda. I'm gonna tell you something. A lot of people come to me about. I have a lot of people come to me about Bigfoot and Dog Man. So they're telepathically talking to me. They're touching my mind. It's never a good thing if anything like that touches your mind and starts dealing with you on a mind basis like that. You better watch. You better be very, 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 very careful what you're dealing with, because that is the absolute personal invasion of your privacy. Now I did a show not long ago about the personal space that people have. How uncomfortable you get when somebody gets in your personal space. You ever wondered about that?
Yeah.
Everybody is built with a spiritual barrier. Okay? That's your personal space. Yeah. Even animals have this. Yep. Your dog or your cat, you get too close to them sometimes. You ever have one snap at you sometimes for no reason? They can feel this too. Okay? But every living thing has this spiritual essence to it. Okay? And when you invade that is an absolute personal invasion. It's not good. And that's why I warn people, be careful who you let in your space. Yes. Be careful, very, very careful. You better know that person that hugs you.
Yep.
You better know that person you shake hands with, because, hey, there's some bad characters and actors out there that want to touch you for a reason, and it's not a good reason. We talked about
that at work.
We talked about energy vampires and stuff like that.
Yeah. I would have people come too close to me, and this first thing I tell them is, back up, you're in my bubble. Please stay out of my bubble.
And look at the spells and stuff that can be put in food and drink and all. You've got to be very extremely careful here who you're dealing with. You can't. It's just like the X-Files. Trust no one, okay? Because
that's right.
You really don't know. That's why we have blessings on food. By the way, that's why we bless our food to keep the poison and the spells out of it. Okay. Hopefully it will. Be a bumper there for us. But anyway. That's the way the jinn work. They are insidious in invading your privacy, however way they go about it. And that includes getting in your personal spiritual. I call it spiritual space, because that's what it is. It's sort of like a bumper around you, and when that gets invaded or touched or initialized the wrong way, you got a problem. Now I'm not telling you to go out and not let your mother hug you or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. I'm talking about people you can trust. Okay, that's fine. But I'm talking about be careful, very leery of strangers, because some are not what they may appear to be, and the jinn are very good at that.
Yeah, I've had people come up to me and say, "Can I just give you a hug?" And sometimes I feel it's okay. And then sometimes I'll say, "No, I don't like people touching me." I have to draw a line.
Go by your feeling, though. You got to go by your feeling, Brenda. You got that built-in spiritual meter in you. Okay.
Right.
It lets you know when you're dealing with something that ain't quite right. Pay attention to that. Pay very close attention to it because that's built into you for a reason. Women are very sensitive to this more than men. Okay. And I have a lot of women that complain about that, but that's the way you're built.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
you
built.
got to handle it. You got
They
to,
they call
go
it
with it.
women's intuition for a reason.
Yeah,
There it
absolutely.
is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And well, that's there for a reason because they had to protect the children. They had to be careful about what was coming into the family unit more so than the male. See, that's just the way that goes. But anyway, we've got to pay attention to that because if bells start going off or a little flag comes up, we need to not gloss over that because there's a reason why it's doing that. And whenever you meet a stranger, whether they're jinn, demon, or whatever name you want, whether they're angel or whatever they may be, they're not human. They should be a red flag going off there, you know. I have a friend who used to sit in the Walmart parking lot and he would watch people going in and out, you know. He said, well, I think that one's human, but I don't know about that other. It would be picking out people, you know, like that. But you got to be very in tune spiritually with yourself to understand these things. I'm going to be talking about more of this on my show because when you to spot the angelic and the demonic, you need to have spiritual eyes. You need to have spiritual discernment. And our Creator is waiting to bless us with discernment. And if a lot of times you got that discernment, you're not going to have a problem with the jinn or the demons or anything else. You're going to be safe. You're going to be walking around with that true armor of God on you. Okay.
Right.
And none of these guys are going to be able to penetrate that. But you got to get to that point spiritually,
Right.
to do that. But that's the problem overseas a lot, you know, in the Middle East and all that. They have a tendency to try to believe some of these guys when they come up with whatever it is. And look at the very old stories like the Arabian Nights, you know, and all that. That goes back, and then he was trying to get treasure from the jinn, you know, and you rub the lamp and the jinn comes out. Now, I want to stop a minute and talk about that, okay? Well, lamp rubbing here, okay? 101, okay? Okay.
Lamp 101.
You can go around and rub all the lamps you want, okay? But anyway, here's the thing about it. That right there is demonic containment. That's a Dybbuk box. You know what a Dybbuk box is?
Yes,
It doesn't have to be a box, Brenda. It can be a vase. It can be a lamp. It can be a pot. It can be anything that is a container that can be closed. And usually it has to be closed hermetically. It has to be very airtight. Okay. But you can put spirits in anything like that. Now look at this lamp thing. That's what they're doing. They're letting a spirit, a demon, out of this container. Just like a Dybbuk box. Okay. And when you do that, what do you expect you're going to get? Usually trouble with a capital T.
Yes.
And
Those things are sealed for a reason.
Anyway, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And that's like the old Pandora's box thing. Remember that?
Yep.
You know, and by the way, it was not really a box, it was a vase, supposedly. That's missing. They got misinterpreted.
Yes.
But anyway, that's what you're looking at with the jinn. You're letting these things out into the world. You're opening a Dybbuk box. And that is never, ever, ever a good idea.
No. I see sometimes some of these places have Dybbuk box where they auction them off for sale. And I thought to myself, now why on earth would somebody want to buy something like that?
Yeah, you have daredevils that think that they're being ultra cool doing stuff like that, which is really stupid stuff. But there you go.
I mean,
you can, you know what I always say? You can put a Band-Aid on ignorance, but you can never stop stupid. Okay, that's just the way that goes.
Right, you can. And I mean, even if you had one, look, they're sealed for a reason, and they're double, triple sealed for a reason. Don't be playing around opening those. Whether you believe it or not, the people who filled it and closed it obviously believed enough and put something in it to be able to close it up like
And
that.
it will have a lot of symbolism on it. There'll be a lot of symbols on it. This is what contains supposedly contains spirit. But this is really not a godly thing. Whenever you play around with divot boxes, you are basically a sorcerer, like, and you're doing some bad thing. You're playing around with spirits and doing, and a lot of times you are leaving this like a booby trap for people.
Yeah.
That's what it is, really. A spiritual like booby trap. And
Yep.
don't be a booby, okay? Don't do that. That's not a good idea. But when you see something like that, don't immediately say, I need to open that.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea. But that's what these people are doing. These witches, the sorcerers, whatever names you want to call them, they can try to contain these spirits in boxes. You know, Edgar Allan Poe wrote a very famous story on the imp in the bottle kind of a thing. That's what you're dealing with here, sort of. You know, you have to be very, very careful. Anything that you bring into your life, bring into your house, and a lot of this jinn activity that goes on in the Middle East are because they brought things like this into their houses, or they were given these things as gifts. And by the way, it's not a good housewoman gift. Okay,
No.
never is. Uh-uh. Absolutely not. And but there are people. I used to warn people. They used to leave what we call jump boxes. Jump is another name for an imp or demons. They used to leave little tricks and gifts like that in cemeteries for people to take home. They would just do destructive stuff like this for no reason. And I'm sure that goes on in the Middle East a lot. They want you to take something like that home with you. Okay, this is how
Right.
they get their giggles. They get their fun that way to see what kind of hell they can make your life. You know, if possible. You know, life's hard enough without somebody coming along behind you doing that kind of stuff. Uh, that's just the way it goes. But they have that warning over there, like I've warned people over here about never take anything from a cemetery.
Right.
You know, unless it's something you put there. You know, like a vase or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's something you just find there, leave it where it's at because it may not be a good find. But
Well,
I've heard a lot of stories of people actually finding money in cemeteries, and they would take it home, and it was cursed money. You know, it had a curse on it, and it began to do things to them, and it allowed the jinn to actually follow those objects from where they were at back to the houses. So that was
yeah.
supposed to be there, you know, a big thing. You never, you know, and of course that was why your mother taught you never to take things from strangers.
Right.
Uh, yeah, and that includes candy. Uh, because you know it's usually not most of the time with not a good intention behind it. That's the
Right.
thing that we have to deal with, Brenda. Are the
No.
evil intentions of things and people. People are
You know,
just as bad as the demons and the jinn. Okay.
that's right. You know, a lot of people like to go. I mean, even I like to go to, like, we have big antique places here, and a lot of people like to buy antiques and, different stuff like that. And that's all fine and well, but I tell people, you buy something from a place like that, before you even put it in your vehicle and before you get it in your house, make sure you say a prayer over it, because you don't know what might be attached to that.
Mhm.
And a lot of times antiques will hold a
I
lot of
like
memory.
to I
Yeah.
like to anoint items like that with holy oil or holy water or salt. You know,
Yes.
sea salt is good too, but I would not like to. I would not feel comfortable bringing them in. Definitely, and I have brought some items in like that, and I did not let them come in unblessed or uncleansed. But a lot of people bypass that. I had a very interesting case some years ago where a lady contacted me and said, you know, I'm being haunted. I've got weird stuff going on. And said, I've lived in this house for 30 years, never had anything happen. Well, that was a flag for me right there. So, well, what have you got? Do you have a house guest? And she said, no, I live alone and everything. My husband died and I live alone. And I've never had any problems. And I know the history of this house and everything. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Have you bought anything recently? And she said, well, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I did buy this cute little love seat at a yard sale a couple of weeks ago. And she said, that might be when these stuff started. I said, well, go back to where you bought that love seat and find out the history of it. And she called me a couple of weeks later and she said, how did you know there was something wrong with that love seat? I said, I didn't know. I'm just guessing. She said, well, a man committed suicide on that love seat.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, now it's time for you to find another love seat. Okay. Get that one out of your house. Throw it in the dump.
Yeah.
Don't get anyone. And well, she did. She got rid of it, and she was fine after that. But that was a bad influence, I guess you would call it, a very death-like influence over that love seat, because something very bad happened on that, and it was stained spiritually by that.
Yeah.
So we had to be very careful about items like that and about letting anything, and that's why they do guard against a lot over there in the Middle East with the jinn, because they know the jinn are trying to get in. Okay. And they're very careful about these things, but sometimes accidents happen. That's the way it goes. And the haunting of the jinn can be very horrific. They can turn your world upside down real quick. And like I said, and that's not just a phrase, a phase, making your life a living hell. They can do that, and they can even destroy your relationships with other people. They can destroy you monetarily wise. They can attack you in many, many different ways in your lifestyle. And very much like the demonic does, over here with us. I think they're one and the same. But like I say, I think these guys calling themselves the jinn are really demons. And they're really trying to trick people into believing otherwise, that, we do good once in a while. I don't believe that. Most of the time, it never turns out that way.
Right.
But I believe they're one and the same. You're just looking at it through different perspectives and religions, by the way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-mm-mm. So, how far back do you think that jinns go back pretty far? I mean,
well, they were supposedly created. They were supposedly created when the angels were created. They were supposedly created at the dawn of time, according to the Quran. They have always supposedly been there, but they are very ancient, and that's why they inhabit cave systems and stuff like that more so. Anything that withdraws away from the face of man, that includes Bigfoot and some cryptids and stuff like that, is usually doing that for a reason. They want to stay hidden or they want to remain hidden. And the jinn are very much like that. They want to go into desolate places. And that's where they got that kind of connection with Lilith. Now, Lilith, of course, supposedly was the first wife of Adam. And it didn't work out, okay? And she was very, very independent, supposedly. And she didn't want to submit to Adam, so she was cursed by God and thrown out of the Garden of Eden. And she therefore supposedly became the mother of demons. Lilith is called the night monster. And she supposedly is the one that birthed a lot of demons. Although I don't think she actually birthed the jinn, because God supposedly made the jinn. But she has a hand in sort of ruling them to a certain extent. She sort of, took them under her wing, you might say, or whatever. and so she is associated in some ways with them. Not as much as with the Western demons as it is with the jinn, but she does have a connection. Lilith is fascinating personage. Her symbol is a screech owl,
Oh,
which supposedly, yeah, she is mentioned in the Bible, in the Christian Bible, as being a screech owl. The night monster that dwells in desolate places. And that sounds very much like the jinn because they like to live in caves and ruins of buildings and up on mountaintops that are very desolate and windblown. They like those kind of places, supposedly. And that's another correlation with the demonic that we have in the Western world. They like places of the dead, desolate places. That can be cave systems, that can be mountaintops, bridges and crossroads, places supposedly that are transitional type places. And that is where you have that same similarity with the jinn. They're supposed to be around bridges too, like the old fairy tale of the Billy Goat Gruff, and the troll that lived under the bridge. You have evil spirits associated supposedly with these, and most shaman in the Middle East will tell you, if they're very honest with you, that the jinn are evil spirits, basically.
right.
They may try to trick you into thinking they're good, but they are basically evil spirits.
Now,
Uh,
Woo over here has questions. Well, he wants to know if you think that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being.
I
Uh,
think it's a possibility that he may be. I ran into one night out in the woods that disappeared completely away from me, and it did not do so in a very physical way. Um, they could have done it physically anyway. But I believe there may be that. I believe they may have a spirituality to them that allows some of this. I don't know. The jury is still out on it, but it is a probability that you've got to look at. And another actual thing about these, I think they are completely directly connected to the Nephilim that were established by fallen angels. I believe that they are very much connected to that and still the remnant of those things that remain. And a lot of people have asked me over time, I'll just throw this in real quick. If God destroyed the world to get rid of the Nephilim, how come it didn't work? Well, he kind of had to make sort of a compromise a little bit, I think, because I think the DNA of the Nephilim still existed after the flood, and it was probably in one of Noah's daughter-in-laws. But we still have that DNA with us. Okay. Gary Wayne, by the way, writes a fantastic book on all this stuff. You need to check it out. The Genesis Factor, I think is the name of it. Anyway, he's a great book, and he's written two. Matter of fact, I think he's recently come out with a second edition on some of this. But I believe without doubt that there is a connection with the Nephilim and Bigfoot, and maybe even Dogman, some of these other things, because when they tried to destroy the creation of our Creator, and which is the plan is still ongoing, by the way.
yeah,
They did all kinds of hybrids with animals and people too. Not just giants, okay? Because that was the bad part of it. That was a race of monsters that was raised up, and it harassed mankind. They left to eat us, okay? We were on the menu, and that's the bad thing about giants. Whenever you hear a story of giants like Jack and the Beanstalk and all that, they're trying to eat you. Why? Because they're monsters, okay? That's what they do. Anyway, you had other bad things besides that. The list goes on and on because they really are trying and still are trying to screw up the creation of our Creator. And we, unfortunately, are part of that.
yep, sure are. One day, it may get better. All we can do is hope so.
Mm.
So
I think one day, hopefully one day, the DNA of the Nephilim will be completely eradicated.
maybe
I mean,
they talk about so much different things with DNA and how even our DNA is not what it used to be when we were first created. They've tweaked even that, which we all know they mess with food and air and everything else. So, doesn't surprise me at all. Somehow there's got to be a way to be able to put our DNA back right where it belongs. Somebody's got to find this.
well, even some of the food that we eat, and some of the medicine that we take, is changing our DNA, and we have to question why is that. And another thing is nanotechnology that I'm hearing a lot about lately. Some of these strange fogs, snows that are taking place, and rains. Things are not right like they once were. There's something really weird going on with the weaponization of weather in this world.
Yes.
I think that what they are trying to do, Brenda, and I said this is part of the diabolical plan against mankind, is they are trying to change the very fabric of our reality. They are trying to change us into becoming part of their dark alchemical technology. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, the demonic has its own technology, folks. I know that sounds bad, but that's true. And they are trying to make us part of it. They want this technology to assimilate us. We will therefore eventually lose our humanity. And when you no longer have humanity, you no longer have a soul.
Right.
That's the way that goes. And they are wanting us to become cell phones, and they are wanting us to become part of the technology and become more mechanized and more integrated into that technology, so that they can have absolute control over us and change the reality of our Creator. The
Yep.
reality that our Creator made for us, they are wanting to destroy that, to change it to their own reality. But here's the bad thing about it: these guys are imperfect. They are really screwed up spiritually. They're never going to make any kind of reality that's worth anything work. Just like they did with the Nephilim, just like they did with a lot of that hybridization. It's never going to come out good because these guys have got all the bad intentions behind it.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to look at. But unfortunately, I'm afraid that is our future.
Yep. We have to find a way to, I guess, we have to find a way to try to stop it. Although I know that it is bigger than us. And
Well, to
we
tell you
can
the
try,
truth, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer or Dennis Downer.
yeah.
I don't want to do that, but it's not really our destiny to defeat this evil. It is what God is going to do, because it's going to take God to do it, not
Yep.
us, because we too are imperfect. Nothing we do we can accomplish this, because this is a greater battle than has ever been fought. And I've said before, this war was won a long time ago, but the battle remains.
Oh yeah.
The end battle. And we will be maybe participants, but more of observers in this in the end. But we're also part of the equation. We got to remember that too. And I have seen the machine designed to take your head off very quickly, very easily. It's supposed to be humane, by the way.
Yeah.
And these things are being put in place for a reason. The time is growing shorter, I think, without a doubt. And evil is going to increase when it does. You're going to see nature turn against us. You're going to see the animals turn against us. You're going to see the weather turn against us. because there is an inherent evil behind all of this that is pushing the envelope for our destruction. That's not God doing that. That is evil doing that. God will meet that evil with judgment and justice.
Yeah. So, is there anything else about the jinn that you want to talk about that we haven't already covered? Because there are so many different things we can move to.
Well, just the jinn and the three wishes. That's
Yeah, let's talk
interesting.
about those.
Uh, yeah, the jinn and the three, the wishes that you get supposedly from them, and like I said, they never work out good. No matter what you wish for, it's never going to come out good. Okay, but it's very much like that very famous story, the monkey's paw. Remember that story, the monkey's paw, where the
Yes.
monkey's paw was the talisman that had three wishes on it, and
Yep.
they wished on it, but it was always bad outcome for this wish. Well, that's usually the way it works with the jinn. So if you ever meet a jinn, don't fall for that trap, okay? Because that's one of the ways they get people. Say, "Oh, I'll give you your heart's desire," you know. But it's usually an exchange of things here, okay? You usually give the genie something too. The genie has to have that,
Right.
and it could be your become a servant of the jinn, and that's not good because you'd be going around doing evil for him and then trapping other people and stuff, or whatever the deal is. Don't make that deal, okay?
Right.
don't
Don't do
don't
it. Don't
get
fall for
involved
it.
with that. Don't fall for the wishes thing. That's happened too many times in the past. But that's supposedly one of the ways. And we're familiar with that. Here's the thing about it. Thanks to movies and books and all this other things, we're familiar with that. We would fall for it very easily. Uh, so we'd have to be very careful whenever you deal with the jinn, because all bets are off. They can go either way with you, and you need to be very, very careful how you approach these guys. What the
Right.
best thing to do is to get rid of them, and you can get rid of them with blessed salt. You can do it. Salt water is very good, by the way, to cast around your house. Salt water, and that's supposedly one way to get rid of the jinn. There are herbs too, supposedly, that will repel, like I think rosemary, and of course the old standards of frankincense and myrrh. They're supposed to be very good against the jinn as well. So you can generize your house and keep these guys out. That's the main thing. But here you got to pay, and listen to this very closely. Whenever you do, and this includes demons in the west. This includes all these bad, evil spirits that are wandering around out there looking to make you know, a spectacle of you. Uh, you got to seal that doorway. That's very important. That doorway is what you seal. And if you think you've got them already in your house, you need to open all your doors and windows, and you just sort of push these guys out with the salt, with the prayers and everything. And of course, if you are Islam, you'll be using the Quran to do this. You'll be doing the prayers to push these guys, and you're pushing them spiritually out of your house. And when at the end of the thing, you got to shut all the openings, and then you have to seal the main opening, which is of course your front and back doors. That's the way you can generize your house. Okay.
Kind of like baby proofing. Zen proof it.
Yeah.
Zen proof the house.
Mhm. Yep.
No. I would just rather not bring them in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want them in there to start with,
No.
and here's another thing, that the reason why you bless your doorway, that depends on whether your house is clean, spick and span. That's fine. We want to keep it that way. That's why you do your doorway. It blesses you going in and coming out. It gets you
Right.
both ways. So, and it kind of keeps you, repels the bad stuff out. Take in your welcome mat too, by the way. Don't put one of those out, okay? Uh, don't want to order. You don't want to offer any kind of an invitation to these things. Just like we said about the cursed objects, you
Yeah.
don't want to offer any or invoke any invitations or contracts or agreements of any kind with any of this stuff, and allow them into your life or in your house. So when you got your door blessed, and I'm talking about blessing the door frame and everything, it's sort of a bumper, like a screen door against gnats, okay, and mosquitoes overly. It keeps them out, and that's where you want them to stay, outside. You don't, because you know your house is a very special spiritual center to you. Your dwelling, okay, is part of, you don't really ever think about it that way, but your dwelling, your environment is part of you, and you are part of the environment, and that's
Right.
why you don't want it invaded by outside sources that usually don't mean you any good at all.
I don't like any outside source in my house, not even a spider. It no. So I really don't want that in here either. But I know that like even outside my door, I have a doormat, but my doormat does not say welcome. I won't
Okay,
have welcome put
don't sound
outside of
so
my house.
welcome.
Yeah,
You're good.
does not say welcome. I might
You're
put something
good.
out there that says if you come into my house, you get dog hair on your clothes. Oh well, he lives here, but not
Yeah.
welcome.
Yep.
Nope.
Mm.
I heard that
I
was.
think I'd rather have the dog hair in my house than the gin, definitely.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. My little turkey's got to go and get their baths on Tuesday because my little one, I have never. This little guy and his hair, 5 pounds of puff, and it gets everywhere. Every week I've got to vacuum and sweep, and just
Well,
because of
you
hair.
gotta take into account the fact that we as human beings we drop a lot of hair too. You
Yeah,
know,
then there. Yeah, I went through a
but all
period where I
that,
think I was
yeah.
really stressed, and my hair every time I brushed it was just coming out in clumps. And
Yeah, me.
when I got over being stressed, and it just stopped happening. So the last time I
And
vacuumed, my little brush got tied up, so I
and
had
then
somebody take it over.
combine that with the dead skin that we all shed.
There is
Well,
that
you know,
too.
we're just as bad as the animals. There's,
I know. Got to constantly dust and vacuum and
mm,
sweep and
mm.
oh, I found the rest of you. It's like, oh my god. My I had to have my caregiver fix my vacuum for me because my little wheel got binded up when I was vacuuming. So he cut it and he's pulling the stuff out and he holds it up and he says, "Well," I said, "Was it all dog hair?" And he said, "Not unless the dog grew 3 foot of hair and it's red." I said, "Oh, that must be mine." So,
Have you ever
yep.
have you ever seen? I'm sure you have the movie Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Do
Yes,
you
I have.
remember the part where the guy went to look for his glove and he wasn't there anymore? One of his gloves was gone. He was leaving the house, and he was the guy that was helping Rosemary. He
Yeah.
knew about the witches and everything, and he couldn't find one of his gloves. They took that glove and used it. Okay, so let that be kind of a lesson. Don't leave hair in your hairbrush
I
for people to
know.
find. And be careful with your articles of clothing, okay?
Right.
Because your clothing is very personal because it touches your skin.
Yes.
You know, you don't want any of that to get missing for somebody to do some nefarious things to you with.
Yeah,
So,
because that's where
so
your
yeah.
DNA is
And it's
on your
good.
clothes.
It's good. It's good that every once in a while you go around your house and look at stuff and make sure there's nothing there that's not supposed to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I if I well, I myself because I moved in here, so all my stuff that's in here, everything that's in here, I know where it came from. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that when Susie and I had that particular problem with that person when she left Susie's house. I told her to go through that house and look in every nook and cranny you could find and make sure there isn't anything that is in a spot that it shouldn't be there. You know, even go around the outside of the house. I don't care what it is. So after a while, she was like, well, I haven't found anything. And then she was going through her closet. She says, uh-oh. I said, what? She said, I found this bag that has watches in it in the weirdest place. And I said, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it now.
You know, I had a case. Funny you should mention closet. I had a case where this house was under direct attack, and I was going through the house like you know, told her to do, and I found in one of the closets, and the ceiling of one of the closets had 666 marked on it
Oh,
in a triangle. I said, "Oh, that's not good. That's definitely not going to be there." So I had them, you know, bless that and paint over it. But you never know what you're going to find. It's very important that you know, do that inspection at least once a month.
yeah.
And look for anything that's not supposed to be there. And sometimes, like you said, the placement of certain objects. If
Yep.
you find something moved into a triangle or something like that similar type of a signal, be very careful, and you have to undo it
Yeah.
as best as you can. You undo it, whatever has been done, you undo it. Okay, it's very, don't just sweep it off. You take it piece by piece and undo it. Okay, and it's very, very cautious with what you do and how you react to these things. Especially in voodoo, they leave fetish bags, they leave feather bundles and everything. Uh, you got to watch out and check everything. Be very careful because this is the way they do things. This is the way they operate. We know what they're, as it says, their opus moderandi. Okay,
Yep.
we know what they're doing, and we have to be cautious with it. But there are bad actors out there, and like I said, even the songs that we listen to can be
Yeah.
rituals. We have to be very careful what we take in. Uh, I call it the gates of our soul, our eyes and our ears and our mouth. Those are the gateways to us, to the inside of us. And we have to be very cautious about guarding those as well.
Right. Somebody on here asked if feathers are a good sign or a bad sign.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
Well,
think, you know, that was one of the things in the Bible that says, be careful of all things. And that
yeah.
is a good point, you know. Or as we say in law enforcement, you keep your head on a swivel
Yep.
and your eyes on your six at all times. Okay,
That's right.
yeah, you have to be very careful, no matter what. And, you know, and some of the most a lot of people don't understand this. I was telling somebody this the other day. Some of the most dangerous places you can go are parking lots or Walmart or someplace.
Yep.
You better be on top of your game. Okay, wherever you go now, and I would advise you to stay out of large crowds. That's not a good idea usually if you can help it. You know, you know, I looked at the terrible things that happened in New Orleans the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, this may become a, you know, a set thing in the future, and you got to be very careful. So it's very good to be cautious. Nothing wrong with it. It's
Yeah.
smart, very smart. Yeah.
We've been talking about that because, like, the last show that I just did, and then the show that we did last night, we brought up the same thing. And of course, when that happened in New Orleans, I found out about it because I have a friend that lives out there, and her fiance called me because she was one of the people that were in the crowd that got hurt. She's in the hospital, but
Mm.
I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and I foresee a lot more of this is going to be happening, at least within the next month or two. if not longer.
Absolutely. I think
So,
some spiritual forces are in play
yes,
against us. And we, on one hand, we don't want to live in fear. Okay.
right.
Fear destroys faith. We don't want to fall to the fear. We've got to deal with the fear, but there's nothing wrong with being smart and cautious.
That's right.
I think our Creator wants us to be that too. But no, we don't need to fall to the fear. We don't need to let fear rule us because that's what these forces want to
Oh,
use this
yes.
negativity and this fear against us. And it won't. And you know what? When you destroy faith in a person, you destroy love that's in them, love and light. I was watching a film, a reel today, and I'd seen it before. I like to get reminded about these things. But at the very moment of conception, when the sperm goes into the egg, there is a burst of light.
Yeah.
There's a burst of light. That I think is the soul going in there.
Yes.
Coming from God to where it needs to be. And it is very interesting, Brenda, that we begin life with light.
Yeah.
We begin life with life. And to me, I think that speaks volumes of where we need to be. And like I say at the end of my shows when I sign off, hold on to the light and let it be against the darkness. That's what we
Yeah.
have to do. We may have to walk into the darkness, but we can carry a light with us. We can definitely light that darkness up when we need to. And it's been my experience over the years that these things hate the light for a very important reason because light is life and love, okay? And they are the enemies of that. They hate that. They fear it. And I say that is why we don't want to become victims. We don't want to walk through the parking lot like this, oh God, oh that's me. We don't want to do that. We don't want to look like victims. Be strong, look strong.
Right.
That will keep bad actors away from you most of the time, okay? But if you go down through there like a scared rabbit victim, okay, you're going to be prey for the predator. All right, because the predators are watching. They're always watching. They're watching. They really like to get against elderly people because they think they can handle them better, or younger people because they
And,
think they can handle them.
and
Okay,
disabled people.
predators are like the wolves. They're always watching,
Yes.
watching for that weakness. Don't let them see that weakness. It is better that we not be victims. They want to keep us as victims because they fear us as warriors.
Yep.
And that's what we have. We have to have that warrior mentality going on here. If we want to survive what's coming upon this world and what we're going to have to go through, if we
You know,
want
I,
to.
I found another thing that keeps people away from you. Um, I was on my phone and I had the earpiece in. Nobody knew I was on my phone, and I was just wheeling around and I was talking, and I guess they thought I was talking to myself. So people
Mhm.
were staying away from me. So there's another thing. If all else fails, talk to yourself. People will think you're crazy and they'll leave you alone. That worked. So, but I don't like big crowds of people. I used to. When I worked, I was going in and wrestling with people in big clubs, it, and it didn't
Mhm.
bother me. Now, not so much anymore. I would assume just the other day we had to go to Walmart. I hate Walmart, and we had to go, but I chose to go at 6 o'clock in the morning when they opened up, and there was hardly anybody in there. And I was like, "Whoo," because I just don't like very large crowds of people anymore. I don't know what
Well, I
changed
think
with
another
me.
good thing that some of these stores are doing now is they are curbside service. You can sit in your car and let them bring your stuff out to you. That is smart. You can sit in the car and wait for them to bring your things out. Of course, unless it's something you really want to pick out yourself, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Well,
stuff
yeah.
you like
Usually, if I
damn
go to the
good.
store,
Mhm.
I'm going to go shopping, and I'll usually find things that I
Mhm.
might forget on my list, and if I have anybody pick a lot of fruits or vegetables out for me, I'd rather pick it out myself, because they just walk in there and just grab whatever they see and put it in there. And I'm really picky about that stuff. Like I watch for those little, the little stickers they put on your fruit and stuff. I check those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. And
Yeah,
then
you don't want the waxed fruit.
right. And now I see they have Walmart delivery drones where they.
Well, that's what I told people the other day, Brenda. We've got to really be very careful about the food that we're buying now, because when you pick that meat up, if it's not heavy, there's something going on with it. You know what I'm saying? If it doesn't have the right kind of weight to it, it could be lab grown. Okay, because it is sort of a lighter texture to it than real meat. Okay, so we've got to be aware of what we're buying here, because they're not going to label it for you anymore. I mean, they're not going that route. I mean, very lucky if you do see a label that tells you that.
Yeah, and seedless things. I will not buy a watermelon if it doesn't have seeds. I will not buy grapes if it doesn't have seeds, because stuff that does not have seeds is stuff that they grow and they have altered so that they have no seeds. I bought some oranges one day. I think I got about 4 of them. Big ones, good size, navel oranges. Thought I was safe. Opened it up, cut it up. Not a seed in sight. Since when do you not find a seed in an orange? And I threw them away. Yeah, I threw them away.
Well, see, that's what we got. That's what we got to deal with now, because there's a lot of this stuff is not real. Okay.
Yeah.
Like what I said earlier, they're changing the reality. That's exactly what's going on here. And if we continue to put this stuff in our bodies along with this nanotechnology, and they have these very infinite things, you can inhale this stuff, Brenda. That's why I said about being careful when you go out in some of these fogs. You better have your like a neck gaiter here kind of a thing to put on your face. When you go out in the fog, you don't know what you're breathing anymore. And it can be I've seen the residue from some of this fog, little black squares, very fine, that would go through the eye of a needle. You can inhale this stuff. These are robots.
Yep.
What did I say earlier? They're trying to turn you into part of the technology here.
Absolutely.
They're doing it without your consent.
Well, we got here, Woo. Woo wants to know that why in some parts of the Bible angels look human, like and the other parts they are said to look like otherworldly things. You mean like the circle with the eyes, Woo? Is that what you're talking about? The multi-circle.
Yeah, well, there are. Yeah, the wheel with inside of a wheel with eyes. Yeah, there are different kinds of angels. I think that they have a completely different appearance to us in many aspects. The lower ranks of angels may look more like us, or can look like us when they need to be. These are spiritual beings that we're looking at, and I've often made this statement, and I stand behind it. When you may walk through a crowd and brush shoulders with something that looks human, but it may not be human. Or you may brush shoulders with something that once upon a time was human, and is so no longer. When you lose your soul, you're no longer human. You've lost your humanity. You're no longer a true human. And that goes along with a lot. Believe me, I met a lot of those in law enforcement. They are soulless, lost individuals. And you see these things happening, like with what's going on in New Orleans and places like that. They are what I call human drones. They're like drones, I think, sent out to destroy, but they're not drones of a mechanical variety. They're human, although they have something other than human driving them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Because I know we were talking about that last night about the way.
Yeah, I tell people, Brenda, and I make this statement, I stand by it too, that The original aliens are here. Yes, they are. But they are fallen angels.
Yeah.
Fallen angels equal aliens, okay? And don't be fooled by some other images that are given to you. That's the real deal. Trust me.
Yeah. Yep. I think that we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute break because I have a puppy that needs to go outside. I'm being tore up right now. So we'll go ahead. Yeah, I gotta let those puppies out when they're screaming because they don't understand. Hang on to it until we get done, but can only do what I can do. So we're gonna go ahead and take a 5-minute break, y'all. We hang out. You know how we do this, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. we are back. And the puppies feel better.
Oh, get those puppies empty.
Yeah, I try to keep the peace in my house. When they say they got to go, it's time for them to go. So,
I was looking at your chat room while you was calling, and there's a very interesting question in there. I might
which
address it. What it was. Said he heard that there was only 200 fallen angels. There were, let me straighten something out here. There was an inner core of 200 supposedly fallen angels who worked under Lucifer. They were the main instigators of a lot of stuff. They were his main men, you might put it that way. But I believe without a doubt there were untold millions that fell. These guys were the supervisors of the universe. And look how big the universe is, okay? It goes on forever. And so they had to be a lot of these guys, definitely, because they were supervisors. They were called the watchers. That was their job. They watched. In other words, the watcher is a supervisor. Okay, if you ever had a supervisor, you know what I'm talking about. They watch you. And that's what these guys did. So we don't know how many, what the true number of fallen angels, but it had to be astronomical because we're looking at a third of the angels of heaven that were cast out. That would have to be a lot more than 200, my friend. Absolutely. But like I said, there was 200 that were the main folks. They might say they may have been demonic scientists like or leaders. There's supposed to be 7 princes of hell. They are the princes now, but they may be the ones that rule over these 200. This 200 number that supposedly has a lot to do with messing this world up and going into and having intercourse with women and so on. That was their job, and they might have been chosen for certain reason to do that. We do know that according to biblical record that there are 4 chained angels under the Euphrates River. They're chained waiting for judgment day. They will be released. These are not good angels, okay? These are fallen angels. And I think the book of Jude talks about these guys being reserved under chains of everlasting darkness. They can never get right. But they're supposed to be chained there. 4 angels for the 4 corners of the earth when they come out.
Now, we were talking earlier about the Statue of Liberty, because the Statue of Liberty was depicted in the same face, everything as the first painting that somebody painted Lucifer as. Looks just like Lucifer, okay? But when you look on the bottom of the Statue of Liberty, where the foot is, there's a chain and the shackles, and they're broken.
Well, if you look at the Statue of Liberty, it's kind of hard to believe it's a woman.
It's not.
It's kind of hard to. But I have heard also rumors she's supposed to be the goddess Hecate, the queen of witches, and she was supposedly chained by Zeus for a while or something. It may be related to that, but it's supposed to symbolize freedom, unshackling the chains of slavery with freedom, supposedly. I'm gonna tell you this, brother. There is a lot of symbolism, dark symbolism, incorporated into this world. That if we, like I said, we need to open our spiritual eyes and start seeing some of this stuff for what it truly is. But it has. I'm gonna tell you this about the cults of witchcraft, the Satanist cults, the vampire cults. They're all the same. They're all run by the same gang. Okay, they're just out doing their own different things. But let me say this about them: they speak a secret language of symbols. And we need to understand that, just like we were talking about that 666 I found marked and these other things. Some of them are pretty obvious, but some of them are not. They are
Right.
designed that way, and they're speaking and telling something, or maybe commanding others, getting the other attention of these protagonists to do the things they want to do. So we need to be very careful of what we're looking at. But you can take the Statue of Liberty in several different ways. But it's very interesting. She wears a crown.
Yeah. You can say he. It's okay. We all understand. Because that's what I say. I said that earlier today. There is no way you can tell me the Statue of Liberty is a woman. Nope, nope, nope. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Not at all.
Well, if you look at it that way, then that would be the perfect personification of Lucifer, who is crowned with his own thorny crown. He is the God of this world. He stole this world from God and everything in it that belongs to God. Of course, he has turned some things bad. That's what he does. When he gets them, he turns them bad.
That's right.
Um, that's why we've got to understand he is the guy leading this world down the path it's going right now, not God. God's not in control of that. Although the grace of God is over us, without that grace of God, we would have been destroyed a long time ago.
Yes.
The grace of God is over all of us. Thank God for that. But the God of this world, the guy pulling the strings of the puppets, is no one other than Lucifer. So I couldn't, and as egomaniacal as he is, and he is an egomaniac. He wants to be a god. All these fallen angels want to be gods. They have been worshipped as gods, by the way, down through history. They've set that up ever since the Anunnaki up until now. They have been worshipped as gods, and they can appear as large. And I think back in those days, people were larger than they are now. They were bigger back, and that's why they lived longer. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, in biblical times, supposedly they found the thumb bone of Moses's wife. I mean Noah's wife, and it was like 4 times longer than an average human thumb bone would be. So I think those people were larger then. But anyway, these demons, these fallen angels, could appear like giants to intimidate people and become worshipped as gods. That's what they were doing. They've been doing that for a long time. They are a bunch of egomaniacs that want to be worshipped. But now, on the other hand, the real angels, the holy angels, don't want to be worshipped. They got nothing to do with that. They don't want to get between you and God. They are the servants of God. And they will tell you real quick, don't worship me, don't pray to me. I'm your brother. I'm your brother, and I'm one of you. I'm with you. Okay? If they're not with us, then they're against us. That's just the way that goes. You know, that's a very interesting passage. It was in the Bible. These disciples come up, Jesus says, you know, Lord, there's some guys over here, and they casting out demons, and they baptizing people, but they're not with us. And Jesus says something very important. Leave them alone. If they're not against us, they're for us. And that makes perfect sense when you think about it. You know,
Right.
if they're not against you, they're for you. They're working to the same goal. Okay.
Right.
And that's what you got to look at. But the evil angels are not doing that. They're a bunch of egomaniacs. They're out there be little. I call them 10-penny gods. That's what they are. They want to be worshipped. They want you to fool you into believing they're something other than what they truly are. I have seen what they really look like. Believe me, you do. You don't. I want to see that. I have seen what they look like. They look like snakes that have. I mean, it's hard to describe, but anyway, they have that reptilian look. Yeah, they really are reptilians, okay? But that's what their real form is now. They didn't used to look like that. But they have fallen so low, they have lost the grace of God. God has turned his back on them. They are doomed. I had somebody the other day on one of my shows said, I even pray for Satan and the angels. I said, don't waste your time for that. Don't waste your time praying for fallen angels because they are doomed. That's it. They have already chosen their path, But the main thing is we don't need to go down that path with them.
That's right. Yeah, we gotta keep ourselves afloat here. You don't want to be there. But and I figured out not that long ago that I was holding some resentment, and I had to learn how to just forgive, because now I'll never forget, but I had to learn to forgive, because not forgiving somebody, it's just as bad as being hateful. It makes me just as bad as they are if I'm not forgiving of them. Now,
well, that's Brenda, one of the things that we are commanded. Remember in the prayer that Jesus gives us, and forgive us our sins as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's got to be a two-way street.
yeah,
That's just the way that goes. It's got to be a two-way street. And
yeah,
it's one thing I would warn somebody: do not leave this world hating anyone or not forgiving anyone. I've seen people that actually had to forgive somebody for killing their own child, okay? Murdering their own child. And if they can do that, we can do that. It takes God to do that, though. You don't do that on your own. It takes the Spirit of God in you, the Spirit of love and light that you have to have in you. But it's got to be done. It's very important that we not, as the Bible says, do not let the sun go down on your wrath. Don't let, if you're mad at somebody, you need to go straighten it out. Or if somebody has disrespected you, and if you can't deal with that person, then you need to stay away from them. You need to distance yourself from them. I put on Facebook today, said if you want respect, boy, you got to give it.
yeah,
And that's the way it goes. How can you expect, if you get disrespect, that you're going to get respect out of it, or vice versa? So, but when I look at somebody, I don't see what color you are. I don't see what religion you are. I don't see where you come from, what kind of a bank account you got, or a car that you drive. I don't see that. I try to see you the way God sees you. Somebody worth dying for.
Yeah.
That's the respect that you deserve. I don't care who you are. That's the respect. And when you start disrespecting people, Brenda, that's where the trouble starts.
Yeah.
Okay, because you dehumanize people, And I have seen that in the eyes of a lot of serial killers. It's like looking in the eye of a shark. They have no feeling, no empathy for you. You're nothing to them. They will kill you and then go put on another pair of socks. It don't bother them. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I had it happen one time. I had a guy that actually killed his girlfriend, cut her up in pieces, ate some of her, then went home, took a bath, and took a nap. And I asked him later on, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And he said, I don't know. I don't know why I done it, but he said it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Wow.
That's the way people feel about this stuff. Cold-blooded murder and cannibalism. What do you expect? I mean, come on.
Yeah. His tummy was full, so it was time for a bath and time to go to bed. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel bad harming anything. I mean,
another bad thing. Another bad thing we seem to think about, Brenda. Unfortunately, we are no longer top of the food chain. We're on the menu.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's part of a big part of. I won't get into it, but that's a big part of satanic ritual. Is the partaking of human flesh.
Yep. They prefer the young.
Oh yeah, the young and innocent. They get
Yes.
more of the juice out of it. I call it. They love that red gravy. You
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. Yeah, I mean, like the reptilians, they don't care, but they do like the younger um, blood. So, but they can get the same fear factor out of adults. It's
well,
just
yeah,
not.
they
It's not
elicit
as pure.
fear and negativity. They
Yeah.
want that. They feed off of that fear and negativity, and that's what makes that red gravy taste so much better. It's sort of got a
Hmm.
punch when it's young and fearful, and a lot of you know
I
adrenaline has
just.
been released. Yeah,
Yep.
we will get into that. I want you to get banned here, but uh,
I
it
know.
is the way things work, and a lot of that's going on. I mean, they're having parties with this. I mean, this is. I mean, this sounds like something out of a weird novel, but it's real. It's going
Yes.
on. It's really happening. I seen a film where this girl said she was like, new to Hollywood, and she was saying they're having parties, they're eating people,
Yeah.
and she said nobody's gonna believe me, but this is going on. But yeah, I'm not surprised. No.
Nope. Not at all. And the bad thing about it is there are so many people out there that are not aware of, no matter how many times they're told, no, 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 that's not true. That's not happening. You're crazy. Boy, when they find out the actual truth, they're just going to be dumbfounded and not know what to do with themselves. Because, I mean, when I tell people, look, I try to help you by talking to you about this stuff so that it's out there. So when you do see it or it does come about that it's true, it's not as much of a shock to you like me anymore. You could tell me anything. Nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing. I have watched through, lived through all kinds of different things.
Mhm.
Nothing surprises me anymore. Anytime
Well,
somebody
see,
says, "Oh, did you see this?" Well, that doesn't surprise me.
when you start podcasting, you find this stuff out big time. And you start doing the research, and when we do our podcast, we have to put a lot of research behind them, you
Yes.
know, and we know to be able to effectively talk about it. But a lot of people don't believe us, and I understand that because it can be unbelievable. But I think also it scares them,
Yeah.
and they don't really want to know. They don't really want to know the truth because it scares them, and I
Like
see where they're
Susie
coming
said,
from. Yeah.
Susie says that ignorance is bliss. And that's about how they live their life. But they can't
But the
stay that
bad
way
thing
forever.
is, if you stick your head in the sand, you're leaving your butt sticking up at a good target.
That's right. Absolutely. And they don't, like I said, when they find out for sure. I mean, I've tried with my daughter for years, and
Mm.
oh, I am the crazy woman, and I'm over here thinking, well, you're gonna find out one way or another.
Well,
And when you do, I'm here. That's
I
about all
told
I can
someone
do
the
right
other
now.
day. I told someone the other day we're all got targets on our back because we're humans now. Okay, and we all got targets. We need to realize that we've got targets on our back, and we need to act accordingly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very important. I know for us in law enforcement for many years I wore a target, okay? And I know how it
So do
feels. But we're all doing it's all coming down to all of us now. That
yeah.
we got the target on. We can be a target and we got to be
Yep.
very careful. Yeah.
I look at it like this. I still own my vest, but that doesn't mean that it's going to help.
And you never know what's gonna trigger somebody. You
Yeah.
can be, you can use the wrong pronoun on them or something. They're ready. I don't even know how to speak in a store anymore. I don't say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir. I don't say that. I just say yes or no. You know.
Now, see
Uh,
that I say yes, ma'am, and if they correct me, well, oh, well, you didn't have a sign on your back, so I didn't know. So excuse me. I'm sorry. It's my manners I was raised with. I assume just not talk to anybody anymore because
mhm.
you're going to get it right or you're going to get it wrong. And And if they want you to be wrong, they can be wrong. You're going to be
Well,
wrong.
being raised in the South, you're definitely taught to be very courteous. And it's hard to lose that. It's hard to get out of that. It takes
Oh,
work, like
oh,
holding doors open for people or something. But you
yeah,
never know what's going to trigger them to really get vicious with you.
yeah, yeah. I've had somebody do that with me, ask me because, well, I'm in a wheelchair. But what people don't realize is when you encounter somebody that is disabled and you ask them, here, let me get that for you. I would usually say, because I can get it, oh, that's okay. Thank you, though. I actually had somebody get angry at me. What? I'm not good enough for you to accept my help? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's okay. I can get it. I try to be as independent as I can. If I can't get it and somebody says, can you, here, can I get that for you? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. But if I tell you, no, it's okay. I got it. Let it be,
Well,
people.
it could be you just taking a little bit too long to get through the door, and they don't like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they
That's
were
it.
leaving, so
It's
shouldn't have
just the
made a
way it goes.
difference.
I'm getting kind of old myself. It takes me. I'm not in a wheelchair, but it takes me a while. I have a back problem, so it takes me a while to get through the door. But they get mad at you if you're not moving fast enough. They're ready to run over you with a car. If you get
Yeah.
in the wrong situation. You got to be careful because people can be triggered very quick. Now, it's
Oh
just
yeah.
very.
I was at a grocery store one day and I was going and there was a bunch of people in this aisle and there was a kid that worked there that was behind me. And I hit the gas. I don't go slow in this thing. I turn it all the way up and I'm surprised Walmart doesn't tell me to slow down. So I'm going and then we get to the end of the aisle and I turn the guy says, phew, I am so glad that you're in that. He said, when I got behind you, I automatically got mad. And he didn't thinking, oh, this was going to take me forever to get around this woman. But you just went. And I was like, well, yeah. Why would that make you angry? You were the one that was walking back there. You have 2 feet. You can go around me. Go ahead. Why get mad? If I'd have known that would have made you angry, I would have slowed down on purpose then so you could have walked around me. Utilize the 2 feet God gave you. you know I mean, they do that. People get ignorant and it's amazing. I don't deal with them anymore. I my little dog goes everywhere with me and I wait for somebody
Yeah.
to say something to me about my dog. We go to restaurants and you can ask Susie went to a restaurant with us. My dog lays on his peg and he lays there. He does not move off of my chair. He does not leave me. He doesn't look up at nobody. He doesn't
Mhm.
beg for anything when we're in this anywhere. So I wait for somebody to tell me something about my dog because then you're going to see the real big, bad, mean, and ugly come out of me. Because my dog wears a vest for a reason. That dog, I go nowhere with. I don't even get a chance to go to the bathroom. It's like having kids all over again. I have no privacy anymore, and this little thing follows me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So I take offense. I would take offense if somebody said something about him. Now, if somebody tells me, well, I'm allergic, okay, you're on that end of the store and I'm on this end of the store. You know how many people in the store probably have animals and their fur on them. So my dog is not in your face. I'm going to
Well,
continue to go this way, but you can't reason with people anymore at all.
that is very much, Brenda, like if you've got control over something, if you've got control over your animal, that's just like some people don't have control over their children.
Oh my gosh.
That shouldn't be tolerated either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you've got control over that animal, what would be the issue? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
You're not putting it up in anybody's face. You're not putting in their food. You're not, letting it walk on the table.
Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Well, there was
But
a man in Walmart the other day, and I seen him coming. He had his dog. So my little dog, I worry about him seeing other dogs, especially if they're big, because I'm not allowed to pay attention to them. So I went the other way. Well, this man was going, and there was a woman that I almost ran over because she was on her phone, not paying attention to what she was doing. she stepped on this dog's foot, and he was a larger dog, and
Mm.
he snapped and pulled his foot back because she heard him.
Well,
Oh my God, this woman started screaming and yelling and made a spectacle all over that store. Called the police. This dog just bit me. And he said, that dog didn't bite you. Yes, it did. It bit me. Look at this. And the one guy said, oh my God, she scratched her own leg with her fingernail. And she's trying to say that this guy's dog bit her. And I'm thinking, lady, I
felt
almost ran you
like a
over.
trying to instigate a lawsuit, probably.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people out there. There are a lot of people make their living doing that, going
Yes.
around producing lawsuits, and lawyers love them too. By the way,
Oh, yes, they do. What do they
but-
call those?
I don't have that.
Chasers? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad because, people, it really hurts people that have to have their animals with them. And it hurts them because when they start saying, well, because really, if I didn't have my dog's vest on him, I wouldn't have to show proof of what he was. Unless the police came in and they asked. The manager of the store cannot ask you. None of the employees can ask you. The people you run into cannot ask you.
Well,
But on my chair, I have a card that hangs. That's his ID card, and that hangs on my chair, invisible sight at all times. He's got
what's it going to take? What does it take to show some people?
Yeah, and sometimes I think it just takes a smack upside the head, but that doesn't even work either anymore. Sometimes I just don't understand people. This world has gotten to where people are so cruel,
Most of the time, I think people having a bad day and they just want to take it out on you. A lot of times I think that's what's going on too. But some people just take a dislike to you instantly. They may not like it because you're in a wheelchair. They may not like it because you have different color hair that they don't like. It can be anything, And that's why I say we have to be very careful and try to keep control over ourselves and our environment as much as possible, and realize that we do have a target on our back, and deal with it perceptively that way, because you're going to run into these people sooner or later. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So you want to keep control of yourself. That's the main thing. Because if you lose control of yourself, then it makes the matter a whole lot worse.
Oh, trust me.
That's why we were taught in law enforcement: de-escalation.
Yes.
You got to de-escalate the situation. If you don't, you lose control over it.
And I used to really, really, and I knew that, and I always practice it, and even still, I do still try. Doesn't mean I don't get a little hot underneath the collar at some people, but I would just assume just kind of walk away from them and let them stew in their own little crap that they're creating, because I don't have time for it. I have things that I'm doing that I'm really busy doing, and I don't have the time to play people's games. I mean, they play a lot of games nowadays, and it's really hard. It makes it hard for good law-abiding citizens to go on with their lives and do the things that they have to do, and I just don't understand it. I seen a meme the other day, and I actually reposted it, and it said, I have to go get my dumbrella. There's a lot of stupidity out there. And I was like, oh, umbrella, humidity. Oh, I get it. so I had to repost that. I was
Well, the bad thing is some of these people, they may not be people. They may not be humans. That's the way it goes.
True. This is very true. Yeah.
I was like that movie I was watching around Christmas time, The Bishop's Wife, the original one with Cary Grant, plays the angel. And he says you may walk through the streets, and look into the face of a murderer, or you may look into the face of an angel. There is a chance that you may run into these things, definitely. And like I say, that's why we need to keep a sort of a spiritual concentration going on and kind of know what we're dealing with,
Yeah.
and and that includes humans as well, not just inhuman things. We have to know and try to, like I say, maintain order and control over the situation as much as possible. Because once we lose control, we're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
And things can go bad. Some people will pull out a gun on you and shoot you. That's just the way it goes. I've seen that
Well,
happen. Or pull a knife out and hit you with something,
I live in Texas, Dennis. I carry everywhere I go. So
Yeah, there you go.
that's for my protection.
I carry too. No, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't go. That's become a part of me. I
Yep.
have to carry. That's just
Yep.
like putting my pants on. Okay, I gotta
Yep.
have it done.
Pants on automatically. There it is.
You don't go out without my pants. I don't go out without my carry.
Yeah. The only time that I don't like when I went to Susie's, normally I don't because, well, they have a lot of them out there. So if need be, there it is. So, but everywhere else I go, I don't care where it is. Doctor's appointments, I carry when I go anywhere. Always.
Yeah, well,
The minute I'm
hey,
leaving this house.
you don't ever want to be in the situation where you say, "Boy, I wish I was packing."
Yeah.
You never want to be in that situation if you can
Where
help
you
it.
need it, you don't have it. I'd rather have it where I need it, where I have it and don't need it than need it and don't have it. So yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%, especially for women. And women are target. We got to realize that they think they can get away with some things with women that they can't with men, and so it's very important. I tell a lot of my female friends, you need to carry all the time. You need to, because you never know what situation you're going to run into.
Absolutely. You can never tell. They try so
Mhm.
and what you had said about the parking lots earlier, I tried to tell my daughter, I don't care if you see $100 bill laying on the ground, don't touch that with your hands. Do not pick it up. You have to watch your doorknobs nowadays, your keyholes, your doorknobs, everything, because they've been putting what was
Mhm.
it they found one time? Powdered fentanyl on some woman's car, on her door handle to her car. Uh, what happens if you get too much of it? What does it do to you? You're done. They run up and they grab women. If they put money in the windshield wipers, and when you go to get up to go get it, they pull up behind you in a van, and then three of them jump out and they grab you and run off with you. You know,
They're always looking for something they can use to do
yes,
the things they want to do. Absolutely.
yes,
Once upon a time, many eons ago, we always had to carry a spear when we left the cave because we didn't know what we were going to run into.
right.
Well, that's not changed. Okay.
Nope,
Matter of
not at
fact,
all.
I think it's worse. And we got to get that mentality going that,
Yeah,
hey, no place is safe. No place is really safe. You can
no,
be in church. You can be in a barber shop. No place is safe
no,
anymore.
that's right.
There's
None.
no safe place.
Yes. As a matter of fact, they strike you in places that you would think you were the safest. And yeah, there is
Mhm.
no safe place anymore at all. So, but Dennis, we are coming close to our 2 hours. So, do you want to tell everybody where to find you? Tell them about your book, um, and how they could help you if you have anything for that.
Yes, well, my books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Just look up Dennis W. Carroll. I had to put the W in there because there is another Dennis Carroll who's a famous football player in Australia, and I don't play football. Okay. Anyway, you look up Dennis W. Carroll, and I also have a website where you can find the books at too, and that is denniswcarroll.com. And you can contact me at denniswcarroll@gmail.com. My shows are on. I have a show with my good friend Gerald Fountain on Monday nights at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called The Road Less Traveled where we get into a lot of offbeat stuff that nobody talks about. And then Wednesday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on Hunting the Shadows, my premier podcast. And then Friday nights at 9 o'clock p.m., all on shows at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do what's called Paranormal Point of View, where we talk about things going on in the news and do book reviews, movie reviews, and stuff. Anything that has a paranormal perspective to it. And I also have a consultation service. If you need to consult with me on a demonological problem or any type of paranormal problem, you just need some help with that, please contact me, and you can contact me through my website. And like I said, you can also contact me through DennisWCarroll@gmail.com. My services are all absolutely free.
All right.
That's a plus.
Let me address what Norma said. Norma says that many grocery stores, they have signs on there that you're not allowed to carry. Now, I don't know where you live, but yeah, some states are like that. Where I'm at, we don't really have too many of those signs because they don't go against our Second Amendment. But one of the ways you can do that is if you go and get a concealed carry, and you conceal carry where it's not showing, then they can't stop you. So
I'll leave your viewers with this thing, a sign that I once came across in a graveyard, and it said, "I came here without being consulted, and I will leave without my consent."
Very true. Very
Good
true.
philosophy.
Yes, absolutely. Dennis, I thank you for coming on again. It's always good to see you. I enjoy talking.
We always get in some interesting rabbit holes. Absolutely.
Well, you're an interesting person, so
Mm-hmm.
that is not hard with you at all. So
It's nature to me. I've been doing it so long, it's like breathing. Okay.
yeah, right. So tomorrow night, guys, I will be back with Nadine tomorrow night. She has got some updates about North Carolina and some of the things that they did out there for some people this holiday season. I seen that video and I about cried, especially when they got the woman that fifth wheel trailer. I thought that was great. So she's going to come and give us updates tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central Time. And we are going to go ahead and get out of here. I've had a long day, and I have 2 shows that I have to upload tonight. So, oh boy. So, yeah, I'm tired. I'm tired today. So we're going to go ahead and say good night for now. And we will see you tomorrow. And like always, everybody, please be kind to one another. Y'all have a good night.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.